What can I say? I'm a strong woman. Hey garden maters, welcome to Corner Homestead. So this past week was St. Patrick's Day, and as usual this time of year there's always a pretty good sale on cabbage. So I made sure to buy 4 extra heads of cabbage because I've got plans for this to make sauerkraut. Instead of freezing it like I usually do every year, if you've never seen my video on how I freeze cabbage and how easy it is to do, I encourage you to go and watch it. I'll leave the link in the description box as well as at the end of this video. It's just so simple to do. But I have plenty in the freezer still, and with the price of everything going so high, if you've been to the grocery store, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what you go to buy, it is expensive. I want to can some sauerkraut. It is so stinking simple to do the way I do it. So if you want sauerkraut for your pantry, I'm telling you, it doesn't get any easier than this. So I was at the store just yesterday and I wanted to see, just for the heck of it, how much sauerkraut was now. Yeah. That is just for a, I believe it's 12 ounce bag of sauerkraut. So if you follow my channel, you will know that when I can any type of vegetables or pretty much anything, you will see I never use salt. I just don't care to put salt into my canning when I don't have to. You know, you want to control what you put in, you want to control sodium intake, so I just don't use salt. But when you're doing cabbage, you kind of have to put it in. Pickling and canning salt is all you're going to need. So if you don't have this pickling and canning salt, it's okay. You could just use your regular iodized or non-iodized table salt. Don't buy special. I have had this bag of canning salt probably about 5 years because that's how little I use of it. That's one good thing about this canning salt. When you do buy it, there's no expiration. But let's get started and let me show you exactly how stinking easy this is. Can't get no easier. And another best part about it, water bath canning. You don't need the pressure canner, not for this one. So in the 4 heads that I bought, it equals about 14 pounds of cabbage, all total. Most time-consuming part of this canning job is shredding the cabbage. And I don't want to use my food processor or anything like that. I prefer to do it by hand. So I just clean it up, quarter it, shred it up. So I filled up my big bowl. This is only 2 heads of the cabbage and I've washed it. I went ahead and washed it very well. Clean washed jars, doesn't matter if you're going to use pint or quart. These are pint. I'll probably also do some quarts if I have any left over, but I want to do a full case of my pint jars. Gonna fill up the jars just to the fill line. You don't want to go up to the rim, just to the fill line. If you want to use quart size jars, which this is the quart, you would fill it just to the bottom of the neck. You don't want to go up to the line, just to the neck, right in here. Reason, You don't want the cabbage to touch your lids when you put the lids on. So we're just going to put in our cabbage. Just going to do it all with my hands. So you want to get a good amount of cabbage in there. And yes, you can pack it down. Pack it down. So that's about it. It's to the fill line. Looks good to me. So you can see my bowl is completely empty, and those 2 heads were just enough for 12 complete pints and 1 quart. Now some of these might be a little fuller, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt a bit. Canning should never, ever, ever be stressful. Remember that. Excuse my arm. I have to push back my jar down there. These measurements I'm about to give you is not going to matter whether you've got quart jars or pint jars. It's going to be the same amount no matter what size the jar. 1 teaspoon. That's all you need. 1 teaspoon of your canning salt or regular salt, whichever you are using. 1 teaspoon of just plain old white sugar, and 1 teaspoon of your distilled white vinegar. That's it. 1 in each jar, and then we're going to fill them up with hot water. If you're doing a lot of jars, you might want to have a big pot of hot water on the stove just for the jars. I'm just going to use my electric kettle, keep filling it up. My water bath canner is already boiling, so that means it's showtime. 1 teaspoon each of pickling salt. 1 teaspoon of sugar per jar. Okay, and our 1 teaspoon of vinegar. So the vinegar is what's going to put the sour in the sauerkraut. And then we want to pour in our hot water just to the bottom rim. Leave that 1/4 inch head space or 1/4 inch rim space. You want to debubble? Make sure to debubble. Run it down. Get those bubbles out. It's going to come back up. That's okay. You can always push it back in there. Take your wet paper towel. Be sure to clean those rims very well. This is just wet with regular water because it's not a greasy substance. You don't need to wash it down with vinegar. Just a wet paper towel will do. Put on our lids. And then of course our bands. Okay, make sure that your jars are covered in your hot water bath by at least 1 inch or 2. Once this comes back to a complete rolling boil, you want to time it for 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes processing time. And then we'll take them out and set them over on the table to cool while I process the rest of the jars. So be sure to listen. Rolling boil. Didn't I say this was easy? This is the easiest way. Now, before you say anything, I know there are a lot of people that still ferment their cabbage in crock pots to get their sauerkraut. You can do that, and you can can it afterwards. There's no rules. You're saying you can't do it that way. Other people will say they don't add salt when they can their sauerkraut. But you want to add it because you want it to be safe for canning when you're doing it from the raw state like this. So please, I know there are many ways of doing sauerkraut, of canning it. I'm just showing you this way because it's easy, it's fast, it gets it done when you want to when you have a lot to do and you just want to get it done before your cabbage goes bad, this is the best way of doing it that I have found. And when it is completed and you take it off the shelf to use it, you're going to be amazed at how good it tastes. I'm telling you, it's going to be so good. All right, so it's been 20 minutes. Let's get them out. I got more over there to put in. Oh, that's why I give you a wide shot. Alrighty. Oh, crap, what happened to my water? Uh-oh. That's not good. Unfortunately, we had a casualty. It is the quart size jar. And she blew. Unfortunately, this is something that happens. But I don't like it none. Doesn't it look good? Okay, so there you have the easiest way that I know of canning and making sauerkraut. You want to leave the jars sit in your pantry for at least 4 weeks. Do not open them for at least 4 weeks. People tell me in the past that they opened it in 2 and 3 weeks. It didn't taste right. It has to sit for at least 4 weeks so it'll get that sauerkraut taste. It'll be good on the shelf in your pantry for a long, long time, as long as it doesn't pop its seal, or I'm telling you, you'll use it all before it ever goes bad. Yes, unfortunately, I had one casualty. It was the quart size jar. Just blew its bottom right off. And although it has happened to me one other time, long time ago, and I mean a long time ago, probably about 30 years ago, when I was new to canning and wasn't quite sure what I was doing completely, and I did have it happen then. Most of the time it is caused by over tightening the lids, just making those lids a little too tight so it can't expand in the water or in the pressure canner. I didn't think I put the lid on that tight, but hey, I guess I don't know my own strength. But yes, over tightening your jars can cause it, but if there is also a flaw in the jar, which if they're older jars, they get clanged around, eventually they may get a hairline crack or just a little chip. It can also happen that way, but a good 85% of the time it is caused by over tightening. What can I say? I'm a strong woman. So out of the 4 heads of cabbage that I did buy, the little over 13 pounds, 13 and a half pounds of cabbage, you're going to get between at least 14 to 15 quarts of sauerkraut from it, depending on how heavy they are. These were very, very dense, heavy cabbages. I'm telling you, they're dense. I'm telling you, get a friend. Because my arm is killing me. But it's going to be so worth it in the long run to have this on your pantry shelf, and I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely delicious when you open it, the jar, and go to taste it or use it. You're going to be quite amazed that something so easy to do is just so darn good. It's going to be really good the way it is. But my little trick, I don't know if everybody else does this, but I personally do. When I open up the sauerkraut, I like to add just a little bit, maybe a teaspoon or so, tablespoon of brown sugar when I'm cooking it. I'm telling you, it sets it off. But it's good because there is sugar already in the jars. It's going to be really good. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You're just going to love it. So as always, it's a pleasure. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Love to have you as part of the community. Love to watch the garden majors grow. So until next time, I love y'all. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you on the next video. You might want to find a friend or a very good enemy. 2 heads of cabbage, my arm feels like, makes it worthwhile, I guess. I cracked myself up.